Good evening and welcome to the first of two Beyond the Front Page shows that we're bringing you tonight from Community College that's shown on Spectrum, Verizon, Fios, as well as ARMA, the Auburn Regional Media Access, and Win 89.1, the college's radio station. I'm your host, Guy Cosentino. It is spring, but summer is almost here despite the weather. And we are delighted to have in the studio with us Robert Scarborough, the president of the local YMCA in Auburn, as well as Gracie Murphy, their new director of camp and family programs at the Y, to talk about the Y, as we've done, I think, for the last several years, try to always promote the Y camp, which is a great endeavor. But there's a lot going on organizationally at the Y, and we wanted to get an update on that because you're going through an executive director service, search, as well as some upgrades. And you put out a report to the public about a month ago. Yep. I want to talk about that. So welcome both of you to the studio.
Well, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Your camp name, just so we have it on the record, is Boop?
Yes.
Okay, we've had Kanga, we've had everybody else. Marah, everybody's got a name. We'll get into that in a second. So before getting to the camp, which we want to promote because there was a great article that you wrote in the Citizen today, as we tape on Tuesday, what is the state of the YMCA in Auburn today?
I think it's great, to be honest with you. We've had some remarkable growth over the last year and a half. Our membership is up about 16% from last year. So beginning of 24 to the end of 24, we were up about 16%. We're serving over 3,000 members. Which for over the last year, and that's above where we were prior to COVID hitting.
So you've bounced back from COVID that way?
Yep, very much so.
How about finance-wise?
Really good. We had a great year last year, actually allowing us to do some reinvestment in programming and things like that. We actually have this new machine that I personally don't care for, and that's because it measures and tells me what I should be doing.
Okay.
My wife did really well, but it's called eVolt. And basically, it kind of gives you
it's literally called Evil?
That's maybe what I call it.
Okay.
eVolt.
Oh, eVolt. Okay.
It's probably my time in Texas. It kind of does a biometrics of you. It tells you your age metabolically. It talks about your BMI, your BMR, your calories you should be burning, your muscle mass, the water inside you, how much water you have. And it'll tell you if you're high or low for your age. And my wife did really well. I need to go to the gym more.
So that's a capital investment. You've made a part of your report that you sent to community leaders was about your facilities. Yep. And what you're doing. So real quickly, what were some of the upgrades you've made?
We put a new HVAC up above the Allen Ryford pool. It makes a big difference in temperature control, humidity. We actually just got a grant awarded to us to upgrade the child care area, this preschool, UPK.
And you're restructuring that?
Yes, and we just added toddlers, which is a big need in this area. The toddlers, I think, were full, and it takes a special requirements by the state to be able to perform that service, and it filled up pretty quick. We can only do like 12 kids.
And were you not taking 18-month-olds and before, but you are now?
We are.
Okay.
We are. The other thing is we've actually extended some of our services. We're out in Cato Meridian now. We applied for this grant called a LEAPS grant, and what it does is it allows us to go up to Cato, provide preschool and pre and post school activities for the kids. We have staff up there to provide activities, and it gives folks in Cato another access to our services, and we bring it to them versus them having to come into the Y.
So when it comes to the facility, so I once saw a map of Auburn Community Hospital where they showed the construction for the last, 70 years, and it was a mishmash. I think if I got the same overlay of William Street facility, what is your biggest challenge as a facility? Because it's not all built at the same time. My instinct is, over time, it had 50 different, and I'm exaggerating, construction projects there.
Yeah, we have a really large building. Some of it's not really utilized as much as we like. We're about 125 to 150,000 square feet. We probably use about 60,000 square feet right now. We're actually, from the board, considering what do we do with this building, because the investment on the capital side is really important in the sense we don't want to put something in that later on we may renovate and provide a better service to the members we have in the community. We're also trying to change. We're also trying to change the way we are perceived. We're not a swim and gym. We do a lot more than swim and gym. You know, you look at. I know we're going to talk about camp. We talk about childcare and how important it is. My granddaughter went to preschool there, went to UPK. She loved it. What an experience for her to go. We do scavenger hunts sometimes, from what I understand. We would do the downtown mile. We do a lot of different things. We partner with the United Way on their efforts. So we're doing some really good things. Also, if you use the Allen Ryford pool or the Emerson pool.
So for those who don't know, the Allen Ryford pool is the smaller of the...
It's the bigger.
It's the bigger of the two pools.
It is.
Where stingrays participate and swim meets are. And then the Emerson pool is the smaller...
Yep, the original.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're actually renovating. If you've ever been to either of the pools, there's a family restroom area there. And it really gives some privacy, especially for the ones that have young children and they need to change them and do that. And they don't want to do it. If they have a little girl, they don't want to do it in the men's room, let's say. They want to have some privacy. They have showers. We're actually in the process of renovating those right now. Metcalf French was very kind to us, gave us some assistance with a grant there. And they're in the midst of doing that. And I think it's going to make it a really nice situation for our members.
So two things you mentioned in your report, let's take them one at a time, but let's deal with the community assessment.
Yep.
At one point, you're doing a community assessment. First of all, what is that and are you done with it?
So looking at the next steps for the board, you mentioned about the different projects we've probably had at the Y over the 166 years we've been there. We haven't had a large capital project in probably 50 plus years at the Y. They've done smaller projects, but we're looking at how do we modernize ours so we can make the space more usable, more inviting to the public. So we wanted to hear from the community. So we met with a bunch of the community leaders around the area, and they kind of told us what they thought about the Y, you know, what they knew about it and what services they thought we should do. That was a smaller group.
Was there any surprises in that?
No, because I think it would be something that most of the folks would look at. Everybody likes the big shiny. It looks great. Our Y, you know, hasn't had that update in 50 years, so we're looking to make it a more inviting location. Locker room space. I'll give you a perfect example. We have way too many lockers. We have lockers so that space we could renovate and do something else with it.
So is this all part of a going, it sounds like your assessment's done, is it now go to a capital plan?
Yeah, I don't want to say we're going to do it because we haven't done a feasibility study yet to take a look at what does the future of the Y look like and what could we raise? What would be the community needs? Because we may have a smaller group that has a certain amount of community needs that they think we have to do, but maybe there's things we haven't thought of, and that's why we're going to do a larger community interviews, try to get more input. And
so this is an ongoing process.
It is, and there are no decisions been made yet to do a capital.
So one of the pieces, the second piece to the community assessment in your report was this issue of a fund development committee,
Yep.
which you had not had.
Correct, we did not. So one of the things I'd gone to some training out in Colorado last year, and they talked about fund development, and we actually redid our bylaws because we had some things that were more operational driven. And really, we've got great staff to run the operations, so we don't need to be in the middle of the operations. So we did a fund development, and Kelly Gridley, you might know Kelly.
Served on several, still serves on several boards with her.
She does, and she's a board member at RY, and she's got a lot of interest in how we can move forward in raising capital, whether it's for normal annual support campaign or a capital project or an endowment fund.
Do you have a goal at this particular stage?
For this year's annual support campaign, it's $75,000. Last year we hit about $81,000. We get more than that, but from the annual support campaign, it's reaching out to members, board members, staff, and trying to get them to contribute.
So before getting to camp, just some basics. How large a staff do you have?
That's a great question. Full-time, and I'm not 100% on this because I'm the chief volunteer. I'm going to guess about 10 full-time. Gracie, tell me if I'm wrong.
I would say you're pretty close.
Okay, so
Yeah.
10 to 12 full-time and probably 60 part-time.
And how large a staff do you have during camp?
Roughly 20 to 30 staff are out at camp with me.
And are they there for the whole summer?
Some of them are, and some of them will I have a good amount of alumni who will come and volunteer for a week or two, which is wonderful as well.
Okay. So I want to get to staff at the camp, but I also know you, two other pieces I want to cover before we move on to that. One is you have a relationship with the Central New York Y.
Yep.
And I know you're filling in. We appreciate that. But what is the relationship with the Central New York Y? What do they do for you at this particular stage?
Yeah, so back, we had interim, when Chris Nucerino left, we ended up having some interim CEOs. We had Denise Tabone for about a year, then we had Bob Lamaro came up, a retired CEO. He did about 6 months with us, but we were doing a CEO search, we didn't find the right candidate. So at that point, we decided we wanted to get into a management agreement. So management agreement provides for us, we have to have a CEO as a Y to be chartered, we have to have a CEO. And what they do is they provide us oversight. They're there a couple days a week. Cheryl is Cheryl Pustai, who's the senior VP for operations at CNY. They kind of help us do some structure and some changes to help move us forward. We did some reorganization of the staff, which has actually made us more efficient. Our productivity's up, and we're allowing us to reinvest in the organization. We're constantly looking for those opportunities, like whether it's the HVAC, we put a new roof on a couple of years ago over the pool. We just did some work in the child care area. There was some leaking going on. We did that. We've done a lot of cool things, and we've been able to do it without borrowing money. We're debt-free, and the membership has been really great. And go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, this is an important week at the Y.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, no. All right, so
It
let's
is.
tell why it is. So tomorrow you have some community leaders meeting with who?
So we're actually at the final stages of the CEO search. We've got 4 great candidates, and they're coming in tomorrow. They're going to get a tour of the facility. They're going to meet with the staff. We'll take them down to the camp. We'll do a tour of that, so they get a full picture. And in the meantime, we've got a realtor that if they want to go around and look at the community. And then they do an interview with the CEO search committee on Thursday. It's a 90-minute interview. They have some homework they had to do ahead of time for a presentation, and then we'll question them, and then at the end we'll deliberate and make a decision, and hopefully we'll have a new
So you
CEO.
hope to make a decision this week.
Yes.
So are all 4 candidates from outside the area?
No, we've got one that's local in the area. Wouldn't require them to move, I don't believe. We have another one that has roots here, actually graduated from Auburn High, but wants to get home.
We are the center of the universe.
We are the history's hometown.
Okay, I'll go with that too.
We are.
Our next guest will say that
Yeah.
as well. So,
And then we've got 2 that have some extensive Y experience.
so are you looking for? This is an unfair question, so I'm going to ask it.
It's okay.
Are you looking for what's weighing heavily on you? The local connections or the Y experience? And by the way, does the national Y have a say in this?
So National Y, the YUSA is helping us with the search. They did a lot of they were the point for showing up, grading all the resumes, filtering them out, looking for the key. We had 7 different items that we wanted them to focus on for deliverables. And they've weeded it down to about 14, 15. We did some initial review, the committee did, then we had interviews with 7 to cut it to 4. We also have New York State Alliance, which is out of Albany, Rob Tatario, he's helped us. And they'll both be here this week to help us get through the final part of it.
And we'd love to have you bring on your
that'd be-
new leader.
that would be
and
great.
I know we should say you were close to having a leader back in the fall. There were some issues with immigration
There
that
were.
just didn't work out. So this is a new group of candidates, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So we're going to come back to other stuff,
Okay.
facilities, because we've left our other guest alone for too long. So, Gracie Murphy, you are the director of the Y Camp and family programs. What does that cover, by the way?
Yeah, so obviously Camp Y-Owasco, so I run that during the summertime. And then the rest of the year I run family programming. So that looks like Y Pals, which I have going
That's the old
in,
Big Brothers, Big Sisters
yes.
type model.
Yep,
Okay.
which I have going out in Southern Cuba right now, which is has been wonderful so far. I have about 50 kids involved out there. And then Child Watch, which is our program where parents, when they're doing something else at the Y, so working out, taking a fitness class, whatever it may be, they can drop off their children, and my staff will watch them and play with them and entertain them for that time. And then as well as just events for kids. So Friday night youth nights for a couple hours. Parents can drop off their kids. I have structured programs for them, whether it's arts and crafts, gym time, group games. That kind of runs every Friday. And then also just random things I do here and there. So as mentioned, I did a scavenger hunt out at camp for families in the fall. I did a soccer clinic for a weekend out at camp. I do holiday parties, things like that.
And you're having a healthy day
Yes.
in April. Is that adjacent to school break, or is it after school break?
That's
I think it's after school break.
I think it is as well.
So what's that event, and who's
Yes.
that open to?
So Healthy Kids Day is open for any of the public. It's a free event. It's for families, so I'll have vendors there that will talk about different things in the community for families and kids. There's activities set up for kids. We have bouncy houses in one of the gyms. I'll have some camp games set up in one of the gyms. And that's a really awesome event that I'm excited for.
So how long have you been with the Y?
So I've worked at the Y since 2018, but I've been full-time with the Y since September, since I was at college and things like that in between then.
You went to SUNY,
SUNY
Cortland?
Cortland, yep.
You're a Skinny Atlas kid?
Yes.
A former student in Skinny Atlas. And you are a former Y camper.
I am, yes.
Okay. So how often did you do overnight, day camp? Did you
Yeah.
do it all?
I did both. So I was a day camper to start off when I was younger, and then I moved to resident camp as I got older and was ready to leave home a little bit more. And then I did LIT, CIT.
All right, you got
All the
no
things.
acronyms. LIT
sorry.
That's okay.
Yep.
But these are important parts of the life of the Y camp.
Yes. So Leaders in Training, I did, which is our program that we still offer for going into 10th grade. And it's just kind of an opportunity to get put into a leadership role, and we do a service project, and they get to go on a canoe trip, so they get to go overnight off of camp for a couple nights, which is a wonderful program. And then I did Counselor in Training, which is that next step, kind of that transition year between being a camper and wanting to work at camp, which was awesome. And then I was a counselor at camp for a little bit, program director. I've kind of worn a couple hats, and now I'm here.
All right. Well, glad to have you here. I want to ask you a couple questions. So registration for the Y camp opened about 2 weeks ago.
Yes, March 10th we opened.
And for those who don't know, where is the camp?
So we're on the east side of Owasco Lake. I'd say we're pretty much halfway between Auburn and Moravia, right on Sam Adams Lane.
And so what programs, so this year's a little different. I've seen it evolve. I've seen it from the pre-COVID to COVID, which stunk. There's a different word I'd use. Then you guys kind of bounced back with some stuff, and now you're really bouncing back this year. So
Yes.
take me through day camp to overnight camp to work camp.
Okay, awesome. So day camp, day camp is a traditional day camp. It's 9 to 4, ages going into first grade, so that's 5 or 6, through till 15. Day camp is wonderful.
And when does that start roughly? Does it start right when school ends?
Yep.
And it
The
goes
first
through
week.
the summer?
Yes, it goes right through the summer. I believe we have 7 weeks of day camp this summer, because we do have 1 week where we aren't running day camp this summer, which is something new we're kind of trying.
And so on the day camp front, students can be picked up. I know there's been pickup at the Y. Herman Ave, either high school or Wasco Elementary.
Yep.
So you pick up and drop off for that.
Yes, so parents have the choice to drop their kids off if they would like to, or there is bus stops at the Auburn elementary schools, the Auburn high school, and then I believe we're actually using one of the parking lots at the Skaneateles High School this year.
Okay. And so that is arts and crafts, swimming, archery, fun athletic stuff.
Yes.
That's that.
Yep.
Go to the next level, which is how many, in the past you have had either 1 or 2 weeks of overnight camp. You're doing something different this year.
Yes, this year we are doing 3 weeks of our traditional resident camp, which I'm super excited about. And one of the weeks is actually going to be only resident camp will be running. So we won't have the consecutive with day camp for one of those weeks.
Because you're doing something specific during that time?
We wanted to be able to take more kids this year. So
Okay.
When we run consecutively, we have to split the amount of kids we can take between the two programs.
So in day camp, any idea what your rough numbers are for day camp?
I'm able to take 130 kids every week. So it depends on if it's a resident camp week, we have to split that between res and day or.
And so on a resident camp, how many campers do you usually have? And that traditionally it goes from, well, it's changed over in recent years. It goes from Sunday afternoon through Friday, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Used to go to Saturday, but there's changes in there. How many young people can you take, and what are their ages, by the way?
Yeah, so resident camp is 8 years old to 16, 17 years old. And so when it's resident only, that 1 week, we'll be able to take 120-ish kids, hopefully.
How are signups coming now?
They're going pretty well. We're
You're not filled?
No,
Okay.
we're not filled yet. Definitely have some spots, but I'm really happy with where we're at right now.
So what goes on at overnight camp versus day camp? So there are different sections of the day. So for those who may not know, please correct me if I'm wrong. If you're going to day camp, there's 3 or 4 sections. So you can do arts and crafts, you can go do environmental, you can go do swimming.
Yep.
Overnight's different. You get a 4th.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So you have, with day camp, we try and fit a lot into a shorter amount of time. So with resident camp, you get to have an extra program area, which is that 4th activity that they can choose from. We also have, we're lucky enough to be able to do evening programming, which gives us, more time to be able to play different games, do different kinds of
And this is
cabin
rain or shine,
activities.
correct?
Yes, rain or shine.
But it's going to be a beautiful summer.
Yes.
Okay. So, again, I went to Y Camp. I loved the Y Camp. I think it was the best time when I was growing up. But for those who may not have a young person who's gone yet, or they're thinking about it, what are some of the programs, what are the program areas during the day that somebody might participate in?
Yeah, so we have 13 different program areas. They range from archery, athletics, which is just sports. We have Project Adventure with a challenge course, which is really awesome.
And that's figuring out solutions to problems.
Yep, team
Okay.
building, that kind of stuff. We have the lake, which is wonderful. So we have kayaking, canoeing, sailing, arts and crafts. We have dance, drama. We offer cooking and baking. So nature.
So somebody's not going to be bored.
No.
Okay. So I jokingly said your name was Boob. I mentioned Kanga, who was the former your predecessor. All of you get names,
Yes.
correct?
Yep.
Okay, so how does that come about?
Yeah, so at the end of the day, you get to choose your name. Sometimes if you've been at camp for a long time, it will kind of be given to you and it just kind of sticks and that's what you choose. Or if you're new, you pick something at kind of what interests you. Maybe there's a story behind it. We see a lot after like sports players, musicians, hobbies, so you kind of pick
Boots,
whatever.
Mirage,
Yeah.
you got Speedy, everybody's got names. Okay,
Yes.
and I'm going to leave a lot of people out. So back to so one of the things that's different this year is you're also doing something, lack of a better term on my part, a work camp.
Yes, construction camp.
Okay, construction. So what's that?
Yeah, so construction camp was something that was kind of done in the past, and then with COVID and everything, kind of took a break from it. So in the past, how they've run it is we we find a project that needs to be done around camp, and we teach kids safety skills, how to use tools. They work throughout the week to just kind of learn what they need to, and then they work all together and they will complete that project.
So really 3 overnight weeks, but 2 of them are Sunday through Friday, correct?
Monday through Friday.
Or Monday
yes.
through Friday.
Yep.
And why are they not Sunday through?
So because they're running, I believe, during day camp weeks.
Oh, okay.
So
All
just
right.
for scheduling wise works better.
So if you want to go to the camp, day camp, and you don't have to give me the price schedule here.
Yes.
Give some rough ideas. So you went to day camp. How much is day camp?
I believe for members it's $300. For non-members it's $365.
Okay.
But again, with all of our programs, depending on what program it is, they all have different prices. But we also offer scholarships for
So
all
scholarships
programs.
are a big part of the Y mission. Turn from you for a second, just to you from the perspective that you don't let children not go with services.
That's correct.
Some way, shape, or form you will. And how much did you get? I thought I read the number. Was it $250,000?
2 years ago during the 100th year camp, we got almost $250,000 in scholarships given out. Last year we gave just shy of $200,000 in scholarships. Just amazing the fact that we give back to the community because it's so important. We don't want somebody to not be able to go to camp or go to be a member of the Y. We didn't talk about Live Strong. Live Strong is a big program that we've had tremendous success where cancer patients, post-cancer, can come in. They get a free membership, their family does, and they get structured twice a week training, talking about a variety of different things. Laura Clary does a wonderful, wonderful job leading that and the staff. It's just, and they've actually, interestingly enough, they've actually got a community afterwards. When they finish the program, they didn't disperse. They meet and have coffee once a week, and because the support's really important to them. So we're lucky there.
So I want to ask one more pricing question. I know about the scholarships. If you want to go to overnight camp, because you serve meal, so day camp, somebody brings a bag lunch, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Other than jungle juice or whatever you call it nowadays. People bring their own food.
Yes.
Overnight, you serve them food, so it's more expensive.
Yes.
And there's obviously camping overnight. How much is overnight camp?
For members, it's $450. For non-members, $550.
Okay. And registration is open now and will
Yes.
go to, well, obviously until you fill up.
Yep.
But will you then create a waiting list?
Yes. Yep. We'll have.
And I know in
the
the past you have had a waiting list, so
yes.
making that registration sooner than later. Is there an early bird in the sense if you registered by
Yes, I
April
believe.
1st or something like that?
Yep, I believe by April 1st we do have early bird special going on.
Before we leave, and we only got about a minute, if you could tell somebody one thing about the Y camp that they should know, what would it be? And I'm going to ask you that about the Y itself.
Oh man, one thing.
What's the most important thing that somebody gets out of the Y camp
I think
experience?
camp is so life-changing for kids, and I see year after year kids, whether it's their first time or their 10th time, come back because it is a space where they are able to just be a kid. And I think that we don't see that in a lot of spaces in this day and age where you can just be outside and just be a kid.
Okay. And what's the one thing somebody should know about the Auburn YMCA?
It's community. It's amazing to me the friends you make that you would never have met by just walking in the Y. Whether it's pickleball, playing pickup basketball, walking the track, going into the cardio room. I've met more folks, reconnected with folks that take the time, and it's not necessarily forced. They'll just say, hey, I see you in here, my name's John. Or I'll see somebody working out and I'll go, you're walking backwards on the treadmill, So it's community, and that's really what we're striving for. Let's be the center of the community. Let's be welcoming for everyone.
One of the best values in Cuyahoga County is the Auburn YMCA. If you want to learn more, you can go to their website. You can look at pricing and also register for camp, which again is one of the great experiences that young people can have, and there are scholarships available.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly the Y is not letting you letting those spots not go used. So we are delighted that Robert Scarborough, the president of the Y board, has been in here. We look forward to having you come in with your new executive director. And we're so thrilled that Gracie Murphy came in as our Director of Camp and Family Programming, and came in today to talk about the Y. Again, a great value. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
go fill those slots. We'll be back in just a moment with the QU Museum's Director of Development and Outreach, Jeff Starks, to talk about what's going on that campus with their renovations that you see as you go down West Genesee Street, and also talk about some programming that's coming up, including a fashion show this weekend. Next on Thursday, we'll be back with QU County's Healthy Neighborhoods program with QU County's QU County Deputy Health Services Director Deanna Ryan, as well as Senior Public Health Educator Megan McCole. And then we'll also have Liz Smith, the Director of Unity House, who has been with that agency for more than 30 years. She's retiring this year. They've got a succession plan already in place, but Unity House does some great things in this community, and we want to talk about that. In the coming weeks, we'll have Dr. Adam Effler, the Director of the Owasco Water Shed Management Council, which is important to the Y, L.A. Colvin of the Auburn Chamber Orchestra, as well as Auburn's new police chief, Matthew Androsco, will be here to give us a update not only on what his goals are for the department, but also on some crime stats that have just recently been released. If you have any questions or ideas for guests, you can contact us at cozguytho@aol.com. I'm Guy Cosentino for QU Community College. Stick around. We'll be right back with another Beyond the Front Page with Jeff Starks. And they'll tell us when we're out. You did fantastic.